But I was like, fine, I'll show you what happens if I eat Arby's. So I had half.
Business Honoring Spirituality. And this morning we had an amazing speaker come to us and a webinar.
Great morning here at BHS, and I intend to be back soon.
But he's kind of rebooting it. So.
Welcome to BHS. My name's Anthony Pritchard, and I'll be your host for today. Our president isn't here. Christopher Holgate is on leave, but he usually makes the announcements, so I'll do that. We've got some events coming up in June, 3 of them actually. The first one is on June 2nd, and it's our next BHS meeting. And your speaker will be Doris Johnson, who is here with us today, scoping out the situation. So we'll get to learn more about her coaching stylings and business education. Then we have another meeting, I believe, on June 17th. But on June 8th, there's Coffee and Connections at the French Press from 7 to 9 a.m. And you can see all of our events that are published on our Facebook page and our website. If you're not a member, I invite you to go to businesshonoringspirituality.com and join us. The third event is actually on July 30th, which is a lunch and learn. Whenever there's 5 Thursdays in a June 30th, thank you, June 30th. Whenever there's 5 Thursdays in a month, we try to set up a lunch and learn, which is a 2.5-hour workshop where we provide lunch and a longer format training. Our speaker is Kevin Knebel, who's been here before, and he gives a really good talk about how to generate more referrals by using LinkedIn. So that one will be $35 for members, $45 for non-members, and it's a 2.5-hour event from 11 to 1:30. So mark your calendars for that one. Today, our speaker is Anastasia Button, who is a millennial coach. She published the book, New Job, New Life, the Millennials Take Charge Plan for Success. She's obviously a book author. She's a business coach, a podcast host, and she's here to speak with us today. So please help us welcome our speaker, Anastasia Button.
I'm not sure what happened there. I'm not sure what's going on.
That's bad.
Yeah, I can do the microphone if needed. Let's try that again. Yeah.
Ouch. Sorry about that.
It's all good. We'll do this. So you guys can hear me okay? All right. Let me just kind of undress a minute. Take this off. But I'm really excited you guys get to hang out with Kevin Knebel. Have any of you met him before? Ooh, yeah, he's really great. He's actually in my book as well because he's kind of a mentor of mine. So I really suggest you going to that event. It would be fantastic. And he's hilarious. So big, tall, lanky guy. It's really funny. I'm Anastasia, and here we are today. Who decided to come because they saw the posting on Facebook or knew what was happening today? Awesome. No one. It was great. So I'm glad you're here for BHS. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. I do enjoy coming here, and this is my second time speaking in 4 or 5 years. So it's great to see new faces and some returning faces as well. And today we're going to be really talking about how to change the world and also make money at the same time. Who would like to do that? And who would like to do more of that?
Good. Almost everybody. I saw you not raising your hands. It was such a delayed reaction. Wake up. We got some coffee here today. So I know you're here today for a few things. Things that you really want to know is how to attract your audience, how to market your audience effectively, haven't heard from another marketing coach? Perhaps so, but I bet money you haven't. Sales, how can you close it faster, sooner, and easier before you even have the conversation or get them to the landing page? So, who would like to have a conversation with somebody who's desperate to have, wow, it's Minnie talking. It's all good. Thanks, Anthony. So, getting to the sales sooner, faster, and easier before even having a conversation or getting to the sales page. That's really where the journey of someone with you starts to build a relationship, starts to build the identity that they're about to go through a huge transformation, or their business is, or the world is. And so we really need to focus on our marketing with that kind of messaging. Does that make sense? So let's show some examples of how that's going to work. But first, who am I? I think I've only known a few of you before, so let's kind of introduce myself, but obviously I've been undergoing some hair changes, so let's just change that real quick. Yes, my name is Anastasia Button. I am from Colorado, and I have done a lot of speaking and consulting throughout Colorado, especially the world, United States, online especially, across the world. It's been a great and wonderful experience, and I'm super blessed. Trying not to cover my microphone there. But one thing that happened is when I started my journey in 2015 with that book that Anthony so wonderfully put out. I love my book, I love my publisher, and that was actually the journey that brought me to where I am today. It was going into coaching, it was going to speaking, consulting with companies. It was great, it was wonderful, and I was scaling pretty big. See right here, I was an MC at one of the largest events for generations in the workplace. We had over 500 people at that event for 2 days. I'm over here at the Payroll Association with about 250 people in the room. And here's one of the Skyping sessions I would go into. This is in Malaysia. And there's about 300 people in there. I've probably spoken in front of about 10 to 15,000 people, which is pretty amazing. I've been on the news and podcasts and all the accolades that lots of speakers like to tell you. And also I was an adjunct professor at the University of Denver. I would talk to CEOs that the University of Denver would basically contract out and do trainings. So I would go into Anadarko, oil and gas here in Colorado, and I talk about how millennials and baby boomers can get along. That was fun with engineers. Ooh, tough room. But it was a lot of fun, and I learned so much. And who here knows Brooke Chestnut? Anyone? Wow, I feel like he knows everyone. So Brooke Chestnut was a baby boomer, and I was a millennial, and we would speak on stage together, and we would talk about different generations in the workplace, how they can get along, leadership, and those sorts of nuances in culture and HR. And it really scaled us to whole new heights until I started to realize this is great, but the results are not long-term. I go into Anadarko Oil and Gas, or I go into the University of Denver, and it's great to speak on stage and kind of fluff up the ego, right? And it's really cool to have people say, I learned this, I learned that, and some tools I could take away. But when I'm going into a company, and I'm talking to big CEOs and leadership, I expect them to continue moving forward with the plan and the program and the things they learned, right? No, exactly. They don't do that. And I did this online as well, across the country, and they never continued anything. And so I was just going, the results are not there. I'm not really changing the world in how I want to. And so I had a spiritual awakening. So I closed my business on January 2020. Good timing. So I closed the business, excuse me. And I just kind of floated around and did odd jobs for a while. I worked for the local newspaper, which actually was needed with COVID. And then I started working for an eBay store, and I just started to play a little bit and started to find a little bit more of my purpose again. And my book is really interesting. I'm not trying to plug it too much, but I read it actually probably every year. I read at least the first half. That's really the good part. And so that's why it's 50% off. So I read about half of it because it actually helps me. It's the process I use to refine my purpose. I don't believe a purpose is something forever. It changes, it morphs as the world changes, as you grow, right? So your marketing also needs to grow because your market grows. Their needs change, their mindset changes. The world is shifting. Who can agree the energy in the world is shifting? Absolutely. So you as a business And you as a person are shifting. Well, hopefully your business is shifting. But with that outdated marketing plan, it's probably not, right? We may have some different avenues and tools, but we're not shifting enough to connect with a changed world. So that's when I realized what was going on. I started to feel something big coming. So I closed my business and I needed to reevaluate. Thankfully, COVID gave me the chance to do that. And so COVID for me in some ways was a blessing, some ways not. I think we can all agree there is good and bad with that in everyone's lives. So went from that to purpose again. I met a guy named Demian Lord. He lives in Spain, and we met through consulting for another company, a spice and tea company. And he was like, he told the owner, which is funny, we were very good friends, he's like, I have to meet with Anastasia. And she's like, okay. And he's like, but you need to be on the call too. And so she comes to me and she's like, hey, we should have a meeting between the three of us. Demian really wants to meet you. And he asked me to be there as well. I was terrified. I was like, is this guy trying to ask me out or something? No, he just didn't quite know how to approach the conversation. He liked my spirit, I liked his spirit, and he wanted to do something together in business, but we weren't sure what. And that's kind of the beginnings of everything, right? You want to do something, but you just don't know what it is. So we had conversation after conversation for like 3 months, once a week. We get on a Zoom call. He's in Spain, I'm here in Colorado, and we would have conversations about how can we change the world to be better? That was just the conversation. And I think that's a great conversation to have, no matter who you are, what age you are, what sex, what gender, what nationality. How can we make the world better, authentically better? And so we just had that conversation for 3 months, and we decided on GoodViral. GoodViral is about changing the world
One message at a time, one story at a time. As the slogan says, when good goes viral, the world gets better. Would you agree? Yeah, so let's make more good viral, because there's too much news out there talking about the bad, right? We need to pay attention to the bad, but we really need to make the good go viral, because it creates a chain effect, right? And so we want to create more of a chain effect with our marketing as well, and with our impact and our business. So as Anthony said, I have the podcast, GoodViral Podcast. If you want to go on there, it's really great. I'm going to discuss some of the stories that we talk about on there. I believe that people can and want to do more to help people, animals, and the planet. Leave a long-lasting impact and be connected to people and the world in a deeper, more authentic way. And so the podcast is really about highlighting those stories, highlighting the virality, how do you say that? Virality? Virability? Virility? Is that the grammatically correct? I failed English, so I don't know. To enhance the viral nature of goodness. How's that? So that's what the podcast is really about, is to show these stories. So if you want to go on there, you can go and do this. And here's some of the amazing guests, and a couple I'm going to talk about, that we brought into the podcast. And the mission is just all about talking about the goodness and how people can take action to make more goodness, to highlight the good cause, to have people to go to that good cause and support in any way that they can. Now, a lot of these are nonprofits. Some of them aren't. I hear little mini-me talking every now and then. So we have all of these guests, and this is just season 1. We're actually entering into season 2, and we're already recording season 2. So over just a year and a half, I've been able to connect with Charity Water, Gorilla Doctors, Milky Wire, Charity Watch, RAN, which is the Rainforest Action Network, huge nonprofits and actions, and good causes, as I call them. And they have been so willing to be on our podcast. And we're so small. We're like pretty brand new at this point. Why did they decide to be on this podcast? Because they need to reach people more. So I'm going to show you some ways of how you can reach people more, not just being on a podcast or something like that, but how you can do organic marketing that can really make big changes, much like these efforts. Who knows Mother Teresa, or of her? I don't know if you've met her. I don't know, I have. But there's 2 pieces to this statement I love that she said. I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. And I think that's great. However, I love her last part of that statement, cast a stone across the waters to create a ripple, but I don't agree with that first part. And I'm going to show you why. And I think it would be great to actually combat Teresa a little bit and say, I don't think that's right either. Let's really make a change one person at a time. So let's talk about attraction. How to grab the attention of the new market, as I call it, post-COVID. What does the market really want? I actually kind of want to hear from you guys. What do you think the market really wants when they hear about a service or a product? What can it do for me? What can it do for me? Okay. What else? Speed. Speed, how fast? Okay. Anything else?
Authenticity and trust.
Authenticity and trust. I love that. All are correct answers, right? All are correct answers. We have a selfish reason for going into something that we purchase or that we hire a service, right? But we also want to connect. We also want to be human. We also want to help and contribute. These are all fundamental things amongst humanity, across the world, across borders. And so what does the market really want? Well, Accenture did it for me in 2018. Now, this is pre-COVID. I'm going to show you something about post-COVID. Pre-COVID, Accenture did this huge thing where they showed that nearly 2/3 of consumers globally, that's 63% of the entire globe, prefer to buy goods and services from companies that stand for a shared purpose that reflects their personal values and beliefs and are ditching those that don't. Can we think of some companies that people want to ditch? I know I can, right? How many of you see a message from a company, for-profit company perhaps, that's also paired with something really good that's happening in the world? Can you think of a company that's doing that? Yeah, Julie.
Yeah, my company exactly does.
I do. Perfect.
They partner with, planting trees around the world, feeding hungry children.
Right. So you do more than just the services you provide. And you're able to give your customers the ability to join you in that effort. That's really where we're going here, right? But think about larger companies. Apple. And what cause comes to mind when you think of Apple?
I don't know their causes, but most big corporations will do some kind of volunteer type work or fundraising for certain charities.
Yeah, so basically employee buy-in with volunteering and being able to do these things. That's what HR calls it, employee buy-in. And then we have events, fundraising events where perhaps they're doing like a charity work or they were doing some sort of online kind of fundraising. Cool, okay, great. Well, here's the interesting thing. After 2020, Accenture decided to do another look at this data. And they found that consumer values and buying motivations have fundamentally changed. Remember, COVID was a huge shift in consciousness. They have changed and shifted away from price and quality. What do you think that means? Anyone? Yeah.
You buy an item, whatever it is, say a car, it's a reasonable price and the quality is good.
You buy a car, it's reasonable price, and the quality is good enough. Right. Okay, that's a good example. I kind of want to go deeper. I want to go deeper into this. So keep this in mind. Price, I would write this down too. Price and quality doesn't matter as much anymore as it used to. Right? And I mean, we're getting everything from China anyway. Giving percentage of profits is also not enough to attract. So you probably have done this yourself. I do as well. Proceeds of my book goes to Semper Fi Fund, helping veterans after their term is done. And it's not enough. If I say, if you buy my book, you help veterans and I give 20% of those profits, do you feel so compelled to buy my book? No, you don't. You're like, that's great. And you move on. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person. Doesn't mean you're a bad business owner. It's just not tied. You're not super connected, right? So when you say you're giving a certain percentage of profits to a certain cause, that's good. Do not stop that. It's just not enough when it comes to marketing, right? Because there's no story behind it, right? Story is what connects people. I think Matt, who just left the room, he was the one that was talking about storytelling, right? Storytelling is huge. Marketing, that's all it is. is storytelling. How are you connecting with your person to tell a story? So if you're looking at just, hey, I give 10% of profits, that's great. But what's the story? Why do you do that? And what would compel that person to tie with you to that story? To say, yes, right now, I choose you. It was interesting when we were interviewing Charity Watch. This is Damien, by the way. And I don't think you can take a still of a video without everybody looking high, drunk, or sleepy. I really tried. I was like, don't make Lori Styron, who's the director of Charity Watch, I was like, don't make her look high. And it was a wonderful conversation. This is on YouTube if you wish to watch, or it's on our podcast if you wish to listen. What Charity Watch, actually, who's heard of Charity Watch? That's an even better question. Here, let me educate you for just 1 second. Charity Watch is basically the watchdog of charities. So they go into all the financials of charities and they give a rating to it. Now, it's not necessarily about how much the CEO makes. It's more about the overhead costs. It's about how many dollars do they put in marketing to the dollars that they give to the cause itself, right? So I was talking to her, and it was really interesting. I was like, so tell me, what gives a build of trust to someone to want to work with a charity or give to an NGO? And she said, story. She said story and authenticity, which we've said, and transparency in financials. She also said people do not trust charities. It's a huge percentage of people. I can't quite remember the number. It's in the podcast. Go listen to it. And it was a huge percentage of people that just don't trust charities. Worldwide, by the way. Worldwide. This also needs to change. It's not because of the charity. It's about doing good works. But people are not trusting the NGOs or the nonprofits because they feel like the money they're giving isn't going to the good causes. If you look right here, right? Okay, this is on YouGov. Distrust in charity management, the largest barrier to charity donations. 32 right here. Too much money goes to the administration and not to the cause. It's a pretty big number. 32% say no. Just because of that. The others is, I don't have enough money, I have bills to pay, I don't think charity's worth it, right? So we're really looking at like an 80 percentile of people don't want to give to charity or support good causes like this because they're not trusting. Because there's a lack of story. And also, these good causes have historically created bad brands, right? Oh, they're not giving their money to where it needs to go. So now they have to repair. So they've really fixed up a lot of their finances, the ones that were not great in the 90s. They've really fixed all this up, but their brand is just tarnished. So people do not want to give. And it's really sad. So here's also on Charity Watch. You can go on there and you can actually see the top charity compensation packages. I bring this up only because the distrust, all right? Now, Lori says that if you look at the salaries of these people, like Vivian here, who works at the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, she makes $4 million a year. What's your initial thought when you saw that? What the heck, right?
What does she do?
What does she do, right? Well, here's also the other part. This also includes, right here, $3,350,000 bonus and incentive compensation. What's the bonus compensate? What, right? Now, Lori's telling me and telling you, this is actually not a bad thing. Again, you have to look at the whole picture where all the money is going. But right away, you're seeing that number and you're going, hell no, I'm not donating to them, right? This is what's happening when people, if they're not necessarily looking at you as you're looking at Vivian, unfortunately, sorry, Vivian. But people are looking at you and saying, but you're not really involved. I don't know what's going on with that money to put that nonprofit or that charity or that good cause, so why should I trust you? And why should I also trust your services if I don't know you're tied to Semper Fi Fund?
If you're making that much money, why aren't you giving some of that away to the charity?
Precisely, right? So these kind of financials don't show that. Vivian's probably not putting that out there as well, right? So it's about building that trust, right? How can we attract people to actually trust us, want to engage with us, and know that we're doing well? Sarah Blakely, she decided to give 20% of her profits to charity when she dies. She actually became part of the Giving Well Fund, or Giving Pledge Fund, excuse me. You can see all these other billionaires on there that agreed to give 20% of their income or 20% of their retirement to charity. That's great and all. I don't care. I think it's great, but I'm not connected to Sarah because of that, right? I think it's great she's doing that, but it's not for marketing, and that's good. That's great. But she could use it towards marketing to build better profits and money towards her good causes if she decided to. I'm going to show you how. Who knows Russell Brunson of ClickFunnels? Ever heard of him? Okay, interesting. He's a very big mogul, I say, in the digital world. I think Anthony probably knows who Russell Brunson is. He's like, yeah, I'm the one in the back. Russell Brunson basically creates funnels for people and an education of how to build funnels. He's very successful. I think he's going to become a billionaire in no time flat. It's going to be nuts. But what he did is he paired his business with Operation Underground Railroad. They saved kids from basically being on the slave trade, sex trade, and organ harvesting trade. He's actually a SWAT guy. He decided no longer to be SWAT, to go into other countries and just find the kids and take them. Awesome. And so what Russell did is he paired with this guy. He made a huge marketing event, not only just for Operation Underground Railroad, but he paired his brand to it. It was like a fundraiser idea, but he continues to use it in his stories. He continues to bring it up in his social media posts. He continues to pair and build his relationship with OUR. Why do you think he does that? Instead of just having a one-time event.
It solidifies the story.
Sorry?
It continues to reiterate that story.
It continues to reiterate the story. It also pairs his brand to good causes. It also brings attention to good causes. There's lots of win-win-wins here, right? Anything else? Glad that was clear. Okay, cool. So what I'm getting at is that you really want to think about any kind of charities that are nonprofits or just good causes. They could be for profits as well and be in collaboration with them. And really think about it. And he was able to raise $1 million to this charity, which is absolutely amazing. He was able to save over 100,000 kids with that kind of money, which is great. So what ClickFunnels did is that they helped a good cause. They created a marketing event, not only for ClickFunnels, but for OR. He also did a ClickFunnels brand was elevated because we're continuing the story, right? We're not just stopping at that story. It's also a tax write-off. Woo! Well, don't quote me. I'm not a tax professional, but I'm pretty sure he can make it that way. And he also directly impacted kids' lives, what I feel is the most important part, which I think is great. And you can too. But Russell used this secret, and we're going to get to that very quickly because we're running short on time. But step one is pair yourself with a good cause. It doesn't have to be a nonprofit. It doesn't have to be an NGO, but it can be. But pair yourself. Find one that you're really feeling authentic with and really want to create a relationship. So when you pair your business with a good cause, you want to market with them, market your relationship, build your relationship with your prospects alongside you for that good cause. Bring them into the world. Think of it as a collaboration versus sponsorship. That's the relationship piece, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. Right. Moving forward. So questions to ask here, I'd actually get your phone to take a picture real quick and take it as homework because we're going to run through this pretty quickly. But really think about what causes you're passionate about. What industries make you angry? And what good causes combat these problems as well? And really think about collaborating with them. So here's some ways you can do that. With marketing, how do you become different? On one of our podcast episodes, episode 12, we got Christian here. Is anyone on TikTok? A little bit? Okay, yeah, the digital people here. All right, on TikTok, Christian became viral because one day he got on TikTok and he's like, I accidentally bought some women's jeans. They don't have any pockets. Women, can you relate?
Yes.
No pockets to be found. Like I think these now have pockets, which is practically amazing, but they fall down, so I can't put anything in them. So he found that women's pockets is not a myth. It's true. They have no pockets. And he puts this on social media, and the comments went wild. Absolutely wild. He got millions of people commenting, sharing, and liking all of his videos because they're like, you get it. You finally get it. And he's also a clothing manufacturer. He has a clothing line. So he was like, how did I not know this for years and years and years that women didn't have pockets? So he saw an opportunity. Here's him actually putting a wine bottle in a man's pocket, which I can barely put my 2 fingers into mine, you know? So it's pretty amazing what you can do with that. I think he put like 7 bottles in one jeans. It was like, what? So all the women are just like, I thought I have these kind of jeans. And so he saw an opportunity. He's like, I see a need, right? And I can see a way to change. He also decided to change his jeans to be sustainable. So it's all sustainable from start to finish. We're no longer going to have what he calls fast fashion. You know, basically the idea of going to Walmart and buying jeans and they last 3 months and then they're tattered and you have to throw them away. So you have to buy new jeans. Interesting marketing plan, right? So, or business plan. So he was like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to make jeans last. We're going to have pockets. We're going to have reinforcements where they need to be because women are curvy and things rub together. So he is creating jeans that do that. And he was able to raise, because of his TikToks, just by aligning himself with a good cause, meaning women can have pockets in their jeans and it's going to be sustainable. It's going to help the earth. It's not going to hurt you as a consumer. We're going to battle fast fashion, the big giants of the fashion industry. And you can be part of it too. And we're all on page because he raised $350,000 within a month. Isn't that nuts? And I have pre-ordered my pair of jeans. So he was a great guy. So if you want to take a picture of this, I'll also send it in an email perhaps so you can actually see the slides as well. But fast fashion, you can see on the left, that's what they do. That's what like Levi's and all these other big companies, I don't want to say too much because I'm being recorded. But then on the right, we got slow fashion rather than fast fashion, right? We're being the opposite of the bad guys. That's a good message, especially today. We have a lot of bad guys out there, I would call them, who look good. And we need to battle them a little bit more. So when talking to him, it was actually amazing. He's in Dubai at this time. And he's talking to us, you know, Demian's in Spain, I'm in Denver, and he's in Dubai. And he's actually touring around all of these fashion companies. And he's like, okay, where's the place where they can do the best sustainable fabric? What kind of fabrics can we use? Like, he's like looking at all this stuff. But the biggest thing that I think Christian was really talking about was why people follow and support him. Because one, he listened to what they're saying, maybe by accident, but he is listening to what they're saying. Number two, being the change they wish to see. It's in yellow for a reason. Be the change they wish to see. That's what your market wants from you. And being part of a movement, beating the bad guys, right? Other examples of this, right? We got Ford and Chevy, the big kahunas of the auto world. And then we got Elon Musk with Tesla. Even though there's issues with Tesla, he was a big shift from the big oil guys, right? So he's seen as almost a superhero against these guys. It's the same idea, a little bit smaller, a little bit better, and one with pockets. But again, people followed Elon with these three things. Keep these in mind when you're doing your marketing, when you're having your conversations. How can you include them and are you listening to what they want? Are you being the change? And are you including them along the journey? So step 2, look at your industry, insurance, marketing, real estate, whatever it may be. Be different by being the change. Does that make sense? So sales, we're gonna move through this real quick. Sales, faster closing time. I was chatting with this guy. He is the director of the Spanish division of the Plant for the Planet. Who's heard of them? Anyone? They plant trees across the entire world through kids. Free labor. But they create leadership opportunities for these kids, which is the greatest part. It's about rebuilding leadership and cultivating a culture of kids who understand the issues of climate crisis, logging, trees, and environment. And it's wonderful. And this is the kind of impact they created. Over 91,000 children and youth who have already been trained at Planet for the Planet's 1,608 academies, meaning there's stations around the world, in 75 different countries. They teach about the climate crisis and help facilitate the youth with leadership initiatives. We're going to skip this video, but the video is basically showing the kid in Germany who founded Planet for the Planet. He was 9. And he got together with all these kids saying, the planet's dying, we got to help, we got to plant trees. And so he got all these kids together and they're like, let's plant trees. 10 years later, 12, I can do math. 12 years later, he's 21 years old. It's still going. And over 90,000 kids have been helping to plant 1 million trees in each of those countries. Absolutely amazing. Now, what this story is supposed to do, and he continues to talk about it, and brands that work with them talk about it incessantly. They're like, we're going to help build kids and their leadership, and we're going to change the climate, and we're going to work with them. And if you buy this computer, we're going to give a computer, whatever it may be. They're just talking about it constantly. And it's supposed to inspire, right? That's part of action, inspiration. I can lose the weight. I can buy a house. I can save money. I can plan for my insurance or my retirement, excuse me. So it's about taking action, right? So your marketing really needs to have those pieces and to have that level of trust. If you're connected with a good cause and you're in a good relationship, I'm going to feel more trustworthiness with you. Does that make sense? Yeah, absolutely. So what's the secret? Why do people really decide to buy from you? You invite people to be part of the change. You invite them to be part of the change that you're doing. It can be just with your business. Like you decided, hey, I want to build sustainable jeans. You can be part of it too. We can beat the bad guys, right? We're going to go plant trees. Who do you know? Let's go plant trees. Save the world all on our own, right? Let's make a change together. Does that make sense? Yeah. Is that inspiring? Yeah. Does that sound cool? Yeah. Absolutely. Marketing is about storytelling. It's about inspiring action, and it's about inspiring change. Invite them. Even say that. I invite you to join the conversation. That's what Demi and I say. We invite you to join the conversation. You can be profit for good. You can be a good person and be in business, and you can profit for good. That's the shift I feel the world is in. Trying to figure out how they can shift their business from just being a profitable business that also does some good things to being a profit for good business. Who wants to be a profit for good business? I like the amount of hands I'm seeing. Okay, got a little scared there. Buddha, I think we all heard about this guy. I love what he says. One moment can change a day, one day can change a life, and one life can change the world. It's a little different from what Teresa was saying, right? And here's my last example. Dr. Christine Figgener. Who's ever heard of this sea biologist? In 2016, she became, I think it's 16, 17, she became Time Magazine's Next Generation of Leaders. You know, they have this huge list of like young people that are like next generation of leaders, right? She's a sea turtle biologist focused in Costa Rica, where all the sea turtles come and they lay their eggs. She's also a single-use plastic anti-single-use plastic advocate. So have you guys heard about the sea turtle that had straw at its nose? And how it just changed the world and how we do straws? All of a sudden we had paper straws and people kept saying, save the sea turtles, right? Don't use that, it kills sea turtles. I hear it all the time on social media, on TikToks, at work. It's crazy. Who's heard that before? Save the sea turtles, right? It all came from Christine. She did a video of a sea turtle where the straw was up its nose and they had to pull it out. It was pretty gruesome. It's actually going to be in the video I'm going to show you. So if you're wheezy of blood, trigger warning. It's really quick though. But when she shared that video, it went viral. Over 500 million people have seen that video. When good goes viral, the world gets better. It created a movement and people were like, no more plastic straws. We can't have that. We have to have paper straws. So even Disney, they're in all their parks, all of a sudden with paper straws. How many straws do just one park go through a day? It's ridiculous. So the amount of impact is amazing from what one person can do. So real quick, I'm going to show you our reel of our podcast. And I want you to pay attention to the messaging. I want you to pay attention to the inspiration. I want you to pay attention to the call to action and the level of trust you're starting to feel. But this is just a trailer. It's meant to give curiosity, the attention piece, okay? So we're gonna watch it real quick, and then we're gonna finish up.
Is it possible for one story to change the world? We all have the ability to win stories of disaster snaps, funny moments, acts of goodness from our devices. In these moments, you may ask yourself, what can I do to help?
We'll talk about real stories, like the turtle who has straw set up its nose, how the video went viral in 2018 and changed the course of businesses like Disney to change their straws to paper. stories like these are what GoodViral can. Sometimes when an idea, a story, or a video goes viral, it changes the world forever.
We believe that people can and want to do more to help. In this podcast, we tell the real stories of great things that people are doing today. We interview guests who are making an impact, exchange inspirational ideas, and talk about what you can do easily and right away so that you can also make a difference in the world. We invite you to join the conversation about the small and large ways that we can help other people, animals, and the planet.
When good goes viral, the world gets better.
Obviously, the podcast is out now. Thank you. What kind of feelings did you have during that reel? Just shout it out. And you can be honest, please. Making a difference. What else? Feel good. Good. No, thank you. What else?
Hopefulness.
Hopefulness. Awesome. What else?
Inclusion of everyone in the world.
Inclusion of everyone in the world working together. Yes. This idea of humanity working together. We are making a change together. We are all human, and we all want to have good people, good animals, and a good planet, right? Marketing makes a huge difference in the story. So you're welcome to go to our podcast. If you want, you can pull up your phone, and you can go to this link right here. And right there, you'll see this little screen on the right-hand side. It looks just like that. And you can click where you listen to your podcast, or if you want to do YouTube, and you can subscribe right there. All that the podcast is doing is to give you inspiration, ideas, ways to help, maybe even nonprofits or good causes to work with. That's the purpose of our podcast, is to spread the message, because we believe that all people can and want to do more to help people, animals, and the planet. So take your message, because you can make a huge impact as well. You can really make a big change. You can be just like Christine, the sea turtle biologist, and go viral. But you have to talk and connect. You have to be paired with some sort of good cause. You have to invite people to be included, and you have to connect deeply with them. Make sense? Thank you, guys. It's been wonderful being with you today.